just accidentally forget to ping Scruff to start.
Yeah,
for
right.
Like 10 minutes.
That would suck. Well, I wonder why Rebellion's in the lead now.
Don't tell them our strat. I mean, you kind of ruined it just now.
You know, that's true. All right, let me switch over the thing here. We will do this right here, and then we gotta go to DMC5 and bring up this right here. And let me switch over the game here real quick, and then we will get into the end of Toro's run, and I will probably toss it over to what's it called, to Chaos and Frube here. I'm gonna be taking my headphones off, by the way, so you're gonna have to ping me in Discord if things happen. I'm just gonna update the commentators right now, so that we just avoid any sort of mishaps here. Waifu, if you want to head out, dude, feel free to.
Yeah, I was gonna bail.
All right, man.
Good luck.
Thanks for
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Good runs, Waifu.
Thank you.
And with that, maybe we can just take over and start talking about DMC5 a bit already while Toro's still finishing up his run.
Yep, go
So
for
as
it.
we can see, in DMC5, at the very start, we use the air taunt that Nero has as a movement option because it's faster than walking, since we all know that for some reason Descendants of Sparta have to sacrifice some demon blood to learn running. And yeah, Scruffington is coming up to the first boss fight, which we have to lose as fast as possible. To do that, there is some manipulation you can do by like shooting and taunting at specific times. Some runners have like different versions of doing it, but essentially all of the versions try to get the red fireballs and then the laser at the very end.
Yeah, for reference as well, for those wondering, the MC5's run does require a couple of missions, no damage, but obviously for the prologue, you have to take damage.
Exactly, but we are coming up. I've heard all the missions will be damaged now. It's a new strat.
Oh,
No,
that's interesting.
we don't need any red ore.
Sounds like a run I can get back into. Excellent. No,
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
No, like Freeb already said, this is the first mission that we do want to know damage. The two following ones, we also want to know damage to have enough red orbs in the end to buy all the things we need for V. With that being said, Scruff is really fast, surprise. It's almost like he's a speedrunner. I think he's played this game before. He's already on the second boss, which is, I mean, it's mission 1, so you'd think for, yeah, whatever. DMC5 has some specialties. Anyway, what he does here is Nero has those arms. Yeah, that is fast. So instead of the demonic arm we saw earlier in DMC4, in DMC5 Nero has breakers that have different abilities. For the first boss and for many bosses after, we use one that it's called Overture. It's the first one we get. And you can just stick it into demons and make it explode, and it does a ton of damage, especially if you use multiple of these things.
Yep, and with those orbs, those extra orbs from no damaging the first mission, they're going to grab Speed, Roulette Spin, Streak, and Split. I assume, yeah, good. I was going to say, I relearned the buy route just for today, just to make sure that I was like actually up to date on this, because it's been a very long time since I did this run. But essentially...
Yeah,
Oh yeah, go on, sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I did some D-Rust runs because I was a backup runner for this. They didn't go too well, so I'm glad I don't have to run. But yeah, so we sacrificed some demon blood to run faster. Make it make sense, please. Why? It's the same for enemy step. Like, okay, you have to sacrifice stuff to learn jumping off things. But yeah, you can already see why we bought the other things. There are some cycles for like these like basic enemies we find here, and they do require just a default air attack, but then we usually do the second one with Split to get down to the ground faster while killing them, to get back up fast again. Roulette Spin we'll need for the enemies that we'll encounter here. I keep forgetting the names of some of them. I think they're called Hellcairna or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And yeah, here you can see the roulette spin in the air and then like 2 more attacks after and they go down, and that's like the ideal cycle to kill them.
We're also getting into the last mission here for Toro before I say goodbye for like an hour. and move into DMC5 as well. So I am going to be calling time for a reboot here once we see how Toro's Virgil fight finishes up. And then, again, if y'all need me, you're going to have to ping me in Discord because I don't want to hear people in my ears the entire time that I'm running.
Toro did a real good job with that previous boss there.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, decent start against Virgil as well, actually. It should also be mentioned very briefly as well. This DMC5 is obviously the special edition run on PS5, which obviously gives us turbo mode that allows the game to be sped up by, is it 1.2 times?
Yep,
Something like that?
1.2, yep. That is correct. Alright. Here we go. End time. Alright, let me switch my feet over.
Nice Virgil boss.
Don't,
That was a very...
freak out. So, we're gonna go back to the main layout here.
Oh, we've got full screen of you.
Yeah.
full screen.
Okay, so let me go ahead and get started here. I will see y'all in a little bit once I get this kind of changed.
Good luck.
Over. Thank
Make
you.
us proud.
I will
good luck.
certainly try my
Team
best.
Rebellion. Not biased commentators at all. over the course of this event.
So, I got the old phrase, the old saying, I got no horse in this race.
That's true. Alright, Cosmic was gonna stream on Discord, right, for us to watch.
Yeah. Which, I assume that's still gonna happen. Okay, that doesn't look like that's gonna happen, so we're just gonna have to watch the stream with a little bit of a delay, it seems. Alright, so coming up for Scruff, actually, once we get the Nidhogg parasite to go through, which is basically like a key to get through the door, Scruff's going to perform a very little set of moves here to be able to actually skip out on a fight coming up. So jump.
Yeah, he already did it, because... At least on my end, he'd already done it. But...
Yeah, oh, I'm watching the actual stream, oh no. Blame Cosmic. And then we've got the Goliath fight coming up.
Yeah, this is one of the first places where sometimes you can take damage just because the hitboxes on Goliath can be a little whack, so to say. So far it's looking good though. I also noticed again the other day that you can, like usually with Nero, you want to exceed to do more damage and so your hits are a little faster. But with Goliath, if you don't miss a single exceed on the top of the church, he actually destroys the roof too early and you can't get church kill, which is what we got right now.
Very nice.
Very beautifully by Scruff. He also got the no damage, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah. Yeah. No damage. Nice. For those wondering, the no damage is a 2x modifier, so it's actually massively, massively helpful. This next mission as well will also be, hopefully, fingers crossed, no damage. So I believe the purchases should be 2 punchline magazines instead this time, and then equipping all 3 of them. So because this is special edition, they won't be doing an old skip from back in my day called University Skip, where we used to be able to skip like the end of the mission. But with Turbo, the rest of the mission just goes really, really fast anyway, so not too bad.
And yeah, the reason why we don't do it is because to do that skip, you need to go out of bounds, and there is a specific spot where you can do that. The issue is just that the developers kinda heard about it because of Cosmic.
Thanks, Cosmic.
Thanks, Cosmic. And they fixed it later on. So if you run it on vanilla on PC, you just down patch, obviously, so you can do it. If you run it on special edition, actually there is a new place where you can get out of bounds. University skip is still possible for the newer version as well, but it's a lot harder, a lot less consistent, and since it doesn't save that much time, usually people don't go for it in this category at least. They do it for example, Legendary Dark Knight, where you have where you have a lot more enemies, and the mission would hence take longer.
Yeah, I was actually wondering if Cosmic might try to pull it out later. I doubt it, but I did wonder about that. But Scruff doing very, very good with the combat here, and Cosmic also actually no damaging Mission 1 as well, so on track with the same purchases as Scruff did. So Scruff now moving through the sewers, where we'll go to the right to take care of a couple of fights and then be allowed through the passage.
Yeah, the rune coming up actually has a little bit of RNG. If you're lucky and the enemies spawn early, or the last enemy spawns early, you can bait them to go towards this explosive barrel you can see right now. And you can kill most of them just by exploding the barrel. But sometimes the enemy spawns later and you have to essentially just kill one more enemy, but it obviously takes some more seconds to do that. He didn't get the fast spawn here.
Yeah, that's a shame.
More opportunity for Cosmic to catch up. Some seconds. Still not biased. With that being said, right now Team Rebellion is about, I believe, 6 minutes behind. But it's not really lost yet, because what we have coming up in this run as well are some V-skips. They can be very finicky and they can lose you a lot of time. So depending on how they go, Team Rebellion could still pull ahead again.
Yep. And here on Scruffs, we have the good old scissors, as you all know. For DMC5, you just want to hit their attack to parry them and then just kill them. One hit.
Yeah, just like in DMC1 as well. They're one of my favorite enemies because they just die when you know how to kill them.
Yeah, it's really nice to take care of them. Speaking of really nice to take care of when you know how to take care of them, Artemis coming up right here. Really cool boss. This is the reason why we've got the punchlines as the breakers. Used to obviously use one of them to be able to do the university skip, but we're going to be using them against Artemis to try and keep Artemis on the ground for hopefully long enough to just take care of Artemis completely. As you can see there, Scruff using it in midair to just knock Artemis to the ground. Hopefully he doesn't miss the next one. Good hit. You already see less than half HP already. One more left. Getting those exceeds as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, and he's staying in front of her, which is quite important, because if you go... Sometimes you just end up somehow next to her when you charge up the punchline. If you go a little too close, it pushes you next to her, and then she turns around. And if she turns too much, she'll escape after she gets up. It's very annoying. It can also easily lose you a breaker, because you then have to try and still punch her back down, but she may queue up attacks that might hit you and also ruin your no damage. But yeah, so far we've seen all the no damage we want to see. Also, Cosmic just did one of my favorite strats that we didn't explain earlier. Yeah, where I mentioned the overture earlier, but what you saw Cosmic do there is you put the overture into an enemy and kick it towards another enemy, and then you shoot them to explode the overture, and it kills both of them.
Yep, and Scruff starting with the first V mission. You either love him or you hate him. Scruff started out by getting 3 purple orbs, which increase the size of your Devil Trigger gauge, because V uses a lot of Devil Trigger. V summons the pets of Shadow and Griffin, I believe it is, and unfortunately, they can't actually take care of the enemy, so you have to take care of them yourself with V. So what we're going to see here is hopefully the fence skip. So there's a little bit of a hitbox that you can hit from the middle of this fight with moving, I think it's at V's feet to the right position or something like that.
Yes. Essentially, his toe touches the trigger that starts the nightmare cutscene. And then the game is like, okay, you triggered this cutscene, so I'm going to put you where you're supposed to be after the cutscene. And that's how we skip that fight.
Cosmic also doing a good job on mission 1, skipping that fight and now going to Goliath.
Do we know if he's gotten hit so far?
I believe not.
Very well.
Let's see what happens here. Go a long way around here.
So far, it's looking good for Cosmic. That Gerber did not do a lot of damage. Sometimes...
bad.
Yeah, sometimes it just does that. So we'll see if he can still get the church kill here.
No.
Oh, that was
nice.
close.
Okay,
he
take
got
that
it.
back.
Nice.
That was very, very close to not working, but that was
Oh
really
yeah,
well
it
recovered.
was. Those Gerbers were very unfortunate.
That first one was awful. I have no idea what happened there.
It happened to me in one of my D-Rust runs as well, where it just did almost no damage. Sometimes it does that. Who knows? I mean, we talked earlier. For DMC4, we always say that it's a neural network. Now people also claim that DMC3 is a neural network. Maybe it's just all of them. Who knows at this point?
Scruff's on the last fight before the boss. This the mission that Scruff's on isn't one of those required to no damage, because it's the really nasty boss that can actually hurt you quite badly at the end. But if you can no damage this one, actually sets you up really nicely for the next mission as well.
Yeah, especially if you missed one of the earlier no damages, you still have a chance here to get it, because one of the tight spots for the economy is after this mission when we have to buy some more moves for V to do the skips I mentioned earlier, because the next mission is the first one where we're gonna see one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, coming up here is Nidhogg. Yeah.
Yeah. So, for the most part, interesting using Nightmare first. I thought, well, back in my day, which was a long time ago, we used to only summon Nightmare once you get the main Nidhogg part down. So you've got these 3 tentacles, you have to take care of the 3 tentacles, and then the main body falls down as you've seen. Then, oh, wait, resummon. Okay, interesting. So, both, what you can do with V, we haven't really discussed V's combat that much, is that you can actually automate both of V's pets by expending Devil Trigger on them. Most of the time you can get away with this in like a couple of fights, and then you can pull out V's poetry book and get some Devil Trigger back that way. But you can also just basically manually input, which is what we're going to be doing in a couple of fights coming up. Nightmare just dropping 2 of the tentacles, which is kind of nice. At least Scruff is still no damage.
Yeah, I believe so. And that is Nidhogg gone. But yeah, there are a bunch of different strats that people use, so we might actually see Cosmic do something else for Nidhogg. What has been deemed the most, or the safest way, and also the fastest way to do him, is to put on auto mode. Because Griffin then attacks by himself, and he does some attacks even when he's only in his normal form. I believe that he usually only does in his DT form. I didn't see Scruff turn auto on though, so I believe he did. He
did
just
for the second half of the fight. I remember seeing that.
I didn't see it.
Also no damaged. Cosmic just got just a little unlucky and didn't get the fast spawn and just missed out on one of the enemies he exposed to barrel.
That's unfortunate. We'll see how Artemis goes for him in a bit, but for now we'll see on Scruff's side one of the first V skips. He just bought Skewer, which is the expensive move we need for this mission, though he could easily afford it.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Very nice. This is actually a really hard skip to pull off. It's kind of precise, but it requires the use of Skewer.
Yeah, it's unfortunate he just fell down there. I'm not sure what happened. Sometimes Shadow can just somehow get next to you and push you off the ledge.
Yeah, it looked like he got pushed to the left a little too much, which is unfortunate.
But yeah, that's... He still got the skip. But yeah, so what we do is we use Skewer with Shadow to get out of bounds, either by taunting and making him push us through the wall, or what I usually do is, for this skip specifically, you can also use the Gambit move to get through the wall while the Skewer is hitting.
Oh, that's nice. And then going backwards to... I think it's backwards to, like, initiate, like, a fight to stop you from being, like, out of bounds or something, and then bring it back in so you don't soft lock. Cosmic doing a very nice job on Artemis, also no damaging.
Yeah, so far both runners are doing a really good job.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. So it's a very good thing that Scruff managed to no damage the mission before this one, because this is one of the missions that you like to get no damage on for the purchase list.
I don't think you necessarily have to, since we have... There's another mission later on, it's mission 7 that you usually want to no damage, and Gilgamesh. With Gilgamesh you can sometimes get very unlucky though, because the projectiles Gilgamesh shoots at the very start sometimes just... Usually they're like Stormtrooper aim, but sometimes they just snipe you out of the air for some reason.
The fight is actually a little different in Special Edition as well.
That's true. We'll get to see it in a moment over Scruff's screen.
Oh, that Skewer just missing is unfortunate. Ooh. had one of the pets break. So one other thing that we haven't mentioned is that your pets have a HP bar, and when it gets to 0, you can't use them again for a while. Happened at the end of the boss fight there, but thankfully it was at the very end, so it didn't matter. Cosmic getting fence skip.
Very nice. And yes, Scruff is back to buying more things. He's buying Breaker Plus here, so we can equip 4 Devil Breakers from now on, and 7 Overtures. And then he's gonna set up the magazines for later missions. 4 Overtures for the Gilgamesh fight that is coming up, because Mission 6 is a bit of an odd one. And for the second magazine, we actually see one of the DLC breakers, so that of course is allowed in Special Edition, since it's included in Special Edition. The Gerber GP. We haven't really talked about the other breakers apart from Overtures. Do you want to do that?
Yeah, most of the actual, most of the breakers that we use early on are just like normal Overture and Gerber. I can't actually remember the differences in the Gerber and the GP.
It's just a little bit of a different animation.
Okay. But yeah, essentially we're going to use the same trick as we did on tutorial to put the Overture bombs onto the back of the boss, get a good bit of damage off here. Also, Scruff bought a specific combo called Red Queen Combo D, which allows you to do a bit more of a stronger final hit. It's a standing combo, as you could probably guess. Nice, well dealt with the spikes. Using Overtures. Oh, yeah, every breaker has 2 different things as well. Forgot to mention that, where if you lightly press the button as you see here, if you see the lightning coming out, that's Overtures kind of just like normal B without holding it, which is just a little blast of lightning, which does a fair bit of damage. Then the hold B is the laser, or not laser, the bomb even. The laser is Gerber. The laser is, if you hold B for Gerber, you do the laser. The tap B is just like a little bit of a jump boost.
Yeah, for the attacks that you hold, there are, for most breakers, 2 different ones that you can do, depending on whether you release it in the air or on the ground. So for Gerber, if you're on the ground, you do some Kamehameha kind of laser that doesn't that doesn't really do a lot of damage though. So usually we don't want to use that. We want to release Gerberas in the air to do something called Petal Ray. That is essentially the attack that you can see that one wall boss in DMC2 do at points. I think they call it the shotgun attack. That's what they called it earlier in the run.
Having a little bit of trouble before Nidhogg, but Scruff's about to go into a new skip that was found since I last ran, if you want to describe this one coming up.
Yeah, so this is Mission 7 skip. Essentially, we do or a sewer skip. Well, no, wait, it's newer sewer skip. We made jokes about we have sewer skip, newer sewer, and newest sewer, but not really. We just joked about that because the last skip actually is not in a sewer for once. But yeah, here we do the same thing. We want to get through the wall, land on the skewer, and then we can just jump to the left and use Griffin, so our double jump that B gets by default, to make it over here. And we're just gonna take a bit of a stroll out of bounds. This one can be a bit tricky to learn because you need to know where the collision is. There are some invisible walls that you can go through and some holes in the ground that you can fall through that aren't quite obvious. But yeah, Scruff got it very cleanly. He got it second try if I recount correctly. And this one isn't as easy to line up as the first one.
Cosmic taking some hits from Nidhogg and having a bit of an awkward second phase to the Nidhogg fight, unfortunately. Nidhogg not playing nice.
Yeah, Nidhogg is a bit of a tricky one. Especially, I didn't quite catch which... Oh, he used the auto strat, actually.
Yes.
But when you call Nightmare to do some damage, usually you hope for, the command entry. But that entry can do varying amounts of damage. Sometimes it takes what feels like 1/3 of the health bar, and sometimes it just barely scratches Nidhogg.
Right, we have a special fight coming up at the end of this mission where Scruff is, where you have a partner with Nero, and Nero can actually take out all of the enemies when you get them into, obviously, broken mode. I mean, that's what's actually cool, but...
Yeah, what we're gonna do here is we try to keep Nero behind us, and then with the snap that calls Nightmare, we parry the Knight, and we focus on, the big one. That's the one we definitely want to take out, and if things go very well, you can take out 2 more of the smaller ones right after. That was a very clean fight by Scruff. It was fast. Nero behaved. Sometimes he just runs forward and you can't do anything about it, and you have to somehow save it.
Yeah, I remember back in the day before newest sewer skip, when we were routing this, at one point we were using Nero for this mission and was like, alright V, please also behave, and then when we started being V, it was like, alright Nero, please behave, and it's just rely on the AI.
Cosmic just got the skip as well, the first one, very cleanly. Which is good to see. Let's see if Garion is a little nicer to him. Because Garion, again, for a lot of the fights, we have, like, essentially setups, like, or set ways of doing them. Garion is one of the fights that can sometimes go south very, very fast because we don't really have that. It very much depends on how much he starts running around.
Yeah, both runners actually having good runs so far. Scruff's has been very, very clean. Trying to get the skewer out. If you can hit skewer against Garion, it is a lot of damage. Unfortunately, getting hit by that time slow bubble, which happens in the second phase of the fight.
That skewer unfortunately did almost no damage. Yeah. The thing with Garion is Garion has varying amounts of armor depending on which attack pattern he's currently doing. I'm not quite sure which one is the ones where you can get like a ton of damage. Usually you just try to hit him anyway with the skewer because for V it's usually the best option to deal a lot of damage.
Garion is not playing nice.
No, he's... Again, the skewers aren't really doing that much damage for Cosmic right now. He's having maybe even the worst fight than Scruff here.
Yeah, this is very unfortunate.
There you could see that this skewer did a lot more damage than the previous ones.
Scruff doing another version of the fight skip from Mission 1 just to jump over a giant like elevator pit that summons a bunch of enemies.
Yeah, in Mission 1 you can actually do it without the Gerbera. They do have to do that for Devil Hunter runs because you don't have the Gerbera there, I believe.
Interesting. Oh yeah, because you can jump off the awning to the side, can't you?
No, but if you jump very late, like basically last millisecond or so, you can just make it with the taunt.
Oh, interesting. C2 Breaker Plus for Cosmic with lack of no damage, unfortunately. So still going for the 7 overchills. Still going to set up the breakers. Also Scruff doing once again another skip for that fight there, avoiding the blue orb fragment.
Usually Cosmic's economy should be fine as long as he also no damages Gilgamesh, and then I always forget which mission it is where you do the fight with the knights. With V that we just had.
Yeah, that's...
I keep forgetting which mission number it is. I think... Oh yeah, it should be 7, because 6 is Gilgamesh.
Yeah.
We can see on the Cosmic side right now again.
Hopefully Gilgamesh goes well.
So far so good. We didn't really say how the Gilgamesh fights differ from vanilla, so the PC version, or, well, I mean, vanilla also exists for console, but if you have a PS5, you probably want to get special edition if you want to run this game. So, we already mentioned that special edition has turbo, which makes the game faster. Oh, it's unfortunate that Cosmic fell down there.
That spike timing was really awkward.
But that does not apply to the environment, and Gilgamesh is actually coded as an environmental hazard. So he has a different strat where if you get to him very quickly at the start, you can essentially make him kneel right away, whereas in vanilla you have to break 3 of his legs first. So usually you see people in special edition just running towards him really quickly and then getting up as quick as possible and doing a split to get him down.
It's a nice recovery from Cosmic. That was not the nicest of Gilgamesh fights, unfortunately.
He still got that. We still have mission 9 skip ahead. Here's some hopium from Team Rebellion.
Also importantly, getting the no damage there after not getting the no damage in the mission before. So should be pretty good for purchases, and hopefully has a nice clean solo skip as well. So Scruff is on the first Urizen rematch, breaking through this initial crystal using the old breakers, and then going to break through this one as well, using the shelter.
I really like Scruff's strat for like the first part of this fight, because he releases the first Gerber and then he does like those 2 side steps that look kind of fancy.
Yeah. And then taking our intended boss.
Exactly. The reason why we use the Helter Skelter on the shield here is because the more damage you do to Urizen's shield, the more damage he does to you. So usually if we just didn't... Or, I mean, people might be wondering, why are you attacking him if you're dying anyways, right? So if you don't do any damage to his shield, it takes us 2 hits from the laser later on to actually die. And if we do all the damage at the very start, it's only 1.
Yep, reasonably clean start for Sewer Skip for Cosmic. Oh.
And Mission 9 skip coming up for Scruff after this initial fight.
Yeah, this next skip coming up on Scruff's side is going to be something that saves you like potentially several minutes. It's really nice.
Yeah, I would say it's probably around 2.5 to 3 minutes that skip saves you, because it makes you skip most of the level, apart from the first fight and the last fight. But it is also very tricky, because if it doesn't go well and you don't get as far as you need to, you fall into an infinite load trigger and you have to reset to checkpoint or reset the mission, because the checkpoint at that point is the start of the mission, so it can potentially lose you a lot of time. Apparently it's still faster, even if you mess it up once or maybe even twice, than actually doing the mission.
Yeah, and this is very, very different to the Mission 9 skip that we had when we first started running DMC5 Normal Edition, because we'd go to the room on the left and then jump over a fight trigger and then try and like avoid a fight trigger later on in the level as well, but you'd still have to go through the majority of the level. Scruff having a little bit of problems with this, unfortunately. It is hard to overstate how tricky it is to do these skips with Skewer. Like, they are very, very precise at times. Ooh.
Yes, he got it now. Let's see if it was far enough. Oh no.
Oh.
Oh no, it wasn't. He got stuck. Oh yeah, it's actually not an infinite load. You actually just get stuck in the air.
So this is going to give potentially some time for Cosmic to come back, even with the rough Garian fight earlier.
Yeah, because now Scruff has to do the first part of the mission again. And then probably try the skip again. I know he was a little worried about the skip.
Yeah, I from watching and doing runs of this, I think this is like the hardest skip to pull off.
It is, it definitely is. And it's also a little painful that it's the most punishing, because if you somehow end up messing up the earlier V skips and you have to reset checkpoint, at least you don't have to do a fight before, you just need to run back to the point where you start your skip. But in this case, you always have to first run to the first fight, do the whole first fight again, and then try the skip again. So not getting it first try does lose you a bit of time.
Yeah, Scruff going for it again. Hopefully.
Oh, this looks pretty good, I'd say. I think that should be it. Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
So he's gonna go to the side here and hit the fight trigger for the last fight of the mission. Which is against nobodies. I think we've seen those before today.
They're somewhat frustrating to fight in 5, but at the same time as with V, but at the same time you can see that basically we just bring out the pets, we bring out Nightmare, and hopefully a good amount of damage. The pets are actually focusing quite nicely by the looks of things. Nice, good skewer.
Yeah, we didn't get the fast animation here. Usually, ideally, you try to launch the last nobody into the air because it gives you a much faster animation for the kill. This one is the cooler one, though. I mean, he's taking out their eye and throws it back at them, and it makes them go boom.
Yeah. So all of the orbs that we've been saving up until this point will be going into mission 10 for our next character. Everyone's favorite, it's the Pizza Man.
But we're seeing Dante in a DMC5 run.
Yeah, well, mostly. So, obviously, you gain access to all of Dante's stances. Trickster is easily the best for movement because you can just Trickster dash forward. But we will be getting a couple of different levels in the other styles as well. Because by getting your style level ups in this game, you actually unlock new moves, and some of them are really, really strong.
Yeah, for Dante, we don't have a chance at the very start to upgrade him, so the first couple of rooms are usually a little awkward because we don't have a lot to work with.
Yeah, the nice thing is most of the enemies you see at the start are basic enemies, and obviously up front with Shotgun. Shotgun is still very strong in this game.
Oh yeah, the very start you can just hit the enemies with Balrog essentially and finish them off with a shotgun. The second one is a little more awkward because you get a larger variety of enemies, and most of them don't die quite as fast. Yep. But Scruff obviously is doing a great job here.
Yeah, if you're wondering why Scruff keeps changing to like foot/kick style, that's because by holding backwards, you can actually build into your ignition straight away. Words are hard.
Especially at this hour.
Yeah.
Doing
a very good job actually.
Yeah, Dante starts out with 2 melee weapons and 2 long-range weapons. Like in many other DMCs. Well, ever since 4. So maybe not that many other DMCs, but...
So...
Where's DMC6?
Swordmaster up to 4 for real impact on Balrog. Trickster 3 for a couple of movement stuff. And Ignition 2 for that to last a bit longer. And of course, good old Stinger.
Yeah, Trickster 3 we mostly need for a later mission to do some small skips, but it's very handy to have it here already. Technically, if your economy isn't that great, you can like skip it here and get it later, but it's very nice to have for one of the rooms too, because it gives you trick up, so you can just trick up towards some enemies that spawn in later rooms.
Yep, and you can see from Scruff there just how strong real impact is with Balrog. When enemies are spawning in, you charge it up, you use it, and they just disappear. Very, very nice.
Yeah, for people who may not be that familiar, real impact is the uppercut that you can see Dante doing in a lot of the fights to come as well, and especially boss fights.
Second scissor can be somewhat tricky sometimes. They can just leave if they want to, which is frustrating.
Yeah, usually they like go a little back and then they do the spinning attack, which is my least favorite one to parry.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
But with Hellbreaker, it's alright.
Cosmic with a decent Uruz in phase 1.
Yes, he also got the no damages that he needs from what I saw. So he should be fine, economy-wise.
That should be a good amount of damage on the crystal as well.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
He should go down with the laser here, unless he runs into the green orb. That happened to me a couple of times when I was still learning the game, because I forgot it was there. And then suddenly you do need 2 laser hits again.
Yep. Scruff grabbing a bit of DT and then doing this skip right here.
Yeah, so we go into the side room there to spawn, or to start a fight there, but we don't get locked in there, so we can just go through this part that we're trickstering through right now. Without...
We ever gave it a name other than Mission 10 skip.
I don't think so.
We've got Cosmic coming up on the V skip in a second here as well.
Let's see how it goes for him. I actually wonder how much he prepared for this race, because here's the thing, right? Cosmic has the world record right now. He has a bit more than 2 minutes on Scruff. But he also had had some other events lately for which he had to, well, practice other games as well. While I know Scruff has been grinding DMC5 quite a bit in preparation for this race.
I'm actually really curious how close to PB pace Scruff is, because Scruff's had a really clean run so far. Right,
yeah, he has, right? I couldn't really... Apart from Garion... Apart from Garion, oh well, the M9 skip didn't go too well. He had to reset there.
Oh yeah, true.
And Garion wasn't that great.
This is looking good from Cosmic, actually.
Ooh, first try, nice.
That's gonna give us a race. Ooh. That's gonna save a lot of time, even with the bad boss fights earlier. Scruff coming into a fight full of armor.
Unfortunate that Real Impact missed. That's the one downside of Real Impact. I mean, one of the downsides is it charges up for so long, so you need to know when you can actually use it. The other one is that the hitbox for it is very small. Sometimes it feels like you're like right next to an enemy, you still don't hit. That's especially true for one of the later bosses where we use it on. That we also know from an earlier DMC.
We should also mention as well, because I always remember it in that fight that Scruff just did. When you use Dante's Devil Trigger, you get one hit of Hyper Armor. So you can take one hit when you use your Devil Trigger and not get interrupted during Real Impact.
Yeah, Scruff at the next Urizen fight. How many times do we fight this dude, man? But yeah,
actually.
This fight you technically can lose, but it's faster to just break the crystal with Real Impact, and the fight also ends then.
Fun fact, if you break the crystal, we believe at the exact same time as the proper game transition to the next phase, you can softlock, because it happened to me.
It did?
Yeah, you get shoved into the throne room, nothing is in there, nothing spawns, cutscene doesn't happen, you're just locked in there.
Oh, that's wild. You'll just stay there forever. How do we work this into the DMC lore?
I think I'm the only person it's ever happened to. It hasn't happened like in SE. It's only happened in like base, like the DMC5 on PC. So I'm glad I'm the only person it's happened to. But it was very shocking. But this level for Scruff is actually one that has quite a bit of platforming to it. Actually, like a bit more traditional DMC1 leveled kind of design.
I'm just in awe how fast the movement seems to me right now. Because I mean I have to run vanilla, right? Because I don't have a PS5.
Yeah.
And I haven't really watched that many special edition runs lately.
Turbo genuinely is a game changer. It looks faster and it feels faster. It's
Yeah,
really
I heard DMC sold 6 million copies by now. Like, can we please have Turbo on PC? Thanks, Capcom. Please.
Nice.
I don't even care about LDK that much, even though it would be nice, but Turbo, please. Please. Yeah, we have some more platforming here. We're just taking down the building, essentially, by destroying those blood clots.
Ooh, Cosmic being trolled a little bit by those ads that we were talking about earlier. The smaller enemies just potentially just moving away and being frustrating. But now going to the shopping list. And I think Cosmic should have enough red orbs for
so
this.
You need... I believe it's 97,500.
Oh yeah, that's 6 figures. Yeah, we good. And Scruff coming up against a very frustrating enemy.
Yeah, this enemy is probably my least favorite. I know for a lot of people it's probably the Furies. For me it's this one. I forgot what it's called. Words are hard this late, but usually it behaves in this place and you can just lock on and stinger to death. Sometimes it just teleports away at the start and then you have a bit of an issue on your hands.
Cosmic getting a very nice fight against the first enemy here. Very, very nice. Oh, just too far away. As said earlier, the hitbox for Real Impact is so small.
Yes, and with with these enemies in particular, you want to kill them pretty quickly once they get to lower health, because they go into some sort of enraged mode, and somehow they gain a ton of armor from it, and they take forever to kill. It's like whenever they're on like 1 HP, you think they're gonna be dead soon, but they just don't die once they're enraged.
Unfortunate hit, but again, thanks to the Trickster level up, you can just get straight back into combat with a dash teleport forward.
And Scruff is now coming up to probably the coolest boss. Well, apart from the last one, of course. In DMC5. It's definitely... Maybe not definitely. For me, it's the coolest strat to pull off in this game. So let's see if Scruff can get it.
Yeah, I fully agree.
So he's gonna Royal Guard these. Oh, he he messed up some, but it's fine. He has a lot of Devil Trigger anyway. So we're gonna Royal Guard everything here after charging up, and then we're just gonna surprise Real Impact after releasing our Royal Guard gauge. And Stinger in the end. Oh, he needed a second Stinger. Usually. Oh no! He's on 1 HP.
Yeah.
So that's
Is that iframes when the teleport happens from the boss there?
Yes.
Yeah, because Scruff was using Ebony and Ivory there to try
no, as soon as he, like, wraps his wings around himself, he doesn't take any damage anymore. But yeah, because Scruff missed the first guards at the very beginning, his gauge wasn't full enough, so usually if you miss 1 or 2 of them, you're fine. I think he might have missed 1 more. Because ideally, after 2 real impacts, you just need to Stinger once in DT, and then the Cavalier goes down. It was still a very solid fight, though. It was unfortunate he was left on 1 HP at the very end.
Yeah, and Scruff with a brand new weapon, which is indeed a motorbike. Because, yes. Which is actually really good for multiple hitting and bursting through armor. But
they had to find... Sorry.
Oh, no, go on, sorry.
I was just gonna say, they had to find something that's cooler than a guitar, right?
Yeah, which, how do you do that? A motorbike. So, actually, the mission that Scruff is on is a very, very vertical level, so what you're supposed to do is go through, like, a series of complex tunnels, do a bunch of fights, and then go through, but actually, a developer intended, you can actually just jump straight up. So, Scruff is going to be using different various forms of double jump and also Devil Trigger to be able to get an extra jump. You have to do this fight in this room, get rid of the spawner. But essentially, like, there's an actual in-game achievement for doing this without using any of the keys, which are obviously the Nidhogg things that we talked about back in, like, Mission 1, or Mission 2 even, sorry.
Yeah, if you're very fast at spotting it, at the very end on the results screen, it says, like, no Nidhogg hatchlings used or something like that. So yeah, like you said, it seems to have been intended, which is cool that the developers think about how you can traverse this in a different way. Unfortunately, we're not traversing it using a Cavalier. Do you know about that, Skip? Like, using Cavalier to get up there? Cosmic used to do it for LDK runs, and I'm still salty that he doesn't anymore because there's a faster way to do it. But it's very cool because you jump up on the motorcycle.
Huh, I can't even actually, like, imagine what that's like.
I can find you a clip.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
I had to mention it if I'm commentating for this run because he knows I'm still salty about it.
So, brief mention as well, Scruff picked up an item called a gold orb, which is essentially a free continue. One thing in this game that's not really mentioned that much, when you're in a fight and you die to, like, a boss or something, if you use a continue using either red orbs or a gold orb, etc., you can actually, when you continue, you'll take a chunk of HP off the boss, depending on the difficulty of the game, of course. And Dante now getting the Devil's Sword. Dante and going Sin Devil Trigger.
Yeah, and here you essentially just mash combo A and then go into DT and hit him a bunch of times and hope that he stuns. Sometimes for some reason he doesn't, and then he respawns his crystal, which is really annoying, but usually the fight is very brief.
Cosmic having a good fight outside the mana there.
Let's see if the Judeca also behaves for him. I just remembered the name. My least favorite enemy.
Oh, yeah. And we now get the Harbinger of Destruction on Scruff, Dr. Faust, the Faust hat. That is another thing later on in the run that could potentially change the tide of this race completely. But we now have mission 13. Was there a mission 13 skip found recently, or am I thinking of something else?
I'm not quite sure if this is one of them. There are some skips you can do with Dante where you end up under the map somehow. I'm not sure if this is one of the missions, but those... Well, as far as I'm aware, there aren't any new skips since Mission 9 that were found that are used, at least not in this category.
Yeah, I must be making things up in my head, because I seem to remember being told about a V-skip on this mission, like, recently, but I can't remember, so I must be completely making it up. It would be nice to find a way to skewer down to the bottom level. It would definitely make things fast, but Scruff is basically... The fun fact about this is you don't actually have to take care of the enemies, you just have to take care of the spawners, which are like... They're kind of like switches blocking the path. You can see here, they're rotting away. So basically what the runners want to do is just take care of the spawners. So Scruff's going from one side to another to let the outer appendage break and then go for the actual like weak spot itself. It's just a little frustrating because as you can see, these enemies can start rolling towards you and really mess you up.
Yeah, never look at chaos.
Yeah, we've actually rerouted this mission so many times. At one point, we used Dante just because Cavalier and just revving Cavalier up and spinning it would just like help have a nice buffer against these enemies, but not fast.
I believe for Devil Hunter as well as LDK and so on, the current routes actually do use Dante and his Sin DT finisher move. That I don't know the name of.
Luce?
I'm not
Oh, do you mean
sure
the big circle, the big circle one? Because I'm thinking the lasers.
No, the one where he does... Oh, fun fact. In the finisher move, he actually does the same moves that you see at the very start of DMC1 when you see the cutscene of Sparta.
Oh,
it's the same moves that Dante does for that finisher.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Cosmic's having a bit of trouble with Cavalier here.
Yeah, Cosmic didn't get the burst out from Royal Guard initially, so unfortunately hit that teleport.
Yeah, the timing is very tight on Vanilla already. To get that, like, to release the Royal Gauge and then do the real impact. Because you have to switch style in between. And you need to be quite fast to get it, otherwise Cavalier, like, steps backwards to queue up another attack, and then you miss your real impact because hitboxes.
Yeah. So Scruff is starting our 3 individual solo character levels. So this is actually the final V mission, where you start off without any of your familiars, but we are going to go in a very specific order in terms of familiars and bosses to be able to do this quite fast. That was very nice. Very good.
Yeah, Artemis still got hit at the very start here, but this fight is actually a little bit RNG. Ideally, Artemis just stays in the same spot for the whole fight. Right now she's not exactly doing that, but she's also giving him the orb attack the whole time, which is a little annoying because usually when you lock on, your lock-on will go to the orbs first, and then Shadow also often tries to lock onto the orbs instead of Artemis, so you have to hold down your lock-on on her the whole time, otherwise Shadow will just skewer the orbs that have, like, no health anyway, which is a bit of a waste of time for an attack with that much damage, but that much, like, build-up time.
Cosmic's doing a very good job with the versatility of this mission. See how well he does this one whilst Scruff goes up against... Oh yeah, actually, you don't want to have Nightmare specifically for the fight that Scruff is doing, because if you do, you get a much longer finisher than the one you're about to see. So very, very specifically, you do not want to get Nightmare until the very, very end, because that way you just finish the fight like this, whereas if you have Nightmare, it's really cool, but for the speedrun, it's really, really slow, unfortunately. But yeah, it should be noted as well, the bosses of this part also have, obviously, way less HP than the original versions. Cosmic choosing to jump over the gold orb.
Yeah, because usually if you... Well, for Special Edition, everything is RTA anyway. For for load time remover, it doesn't really matter if you pick it up because the timer will stop, but obviously usually you don't want to get the gold orb because it takes time to get it. You get the animation of having picked it up. This game hands out gold orbs like candy, though.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. I mean, you get one every time you start the game. Like, every day.
Nice. Scruff did a very nice job there.
Yeah, for Cavalier here, we figured out that it's best to just mash at the very start, because if you try to skewer, he'll just block it and it does no damage. So usually you just want to mash at the very start and then get the skewers in once he's stunned. Here, by the way...
Real impact early.
Where Scruff is going right now, there are actually 2 more small skips you can do with V. I'm guessing he won't go for them. There's only one Japanese runner that always does them for some reason. They're a bit of a... Oh, he's actually going for it.
Huh.
They're a bit of a meme because they don't save that much time, and they're really finicky to queue up because of how the collision is there and how you have to, well, get Shadow in the right position, and everything is just very slippery. He gets it first try, though. Nice. It is also a little risky because if you get pushed towards the side, you can get stuck like in the side walls there, and then you have to reset checkpoint, which is on top of that section.
Unfortunate.
So usually people don't really go for this. So this one was risky because here he could have, if it had if he'd gotten the boost through the plant there or whatever it is, he could have gotten stuck in the wall. So it was a little lucky on Scruff's side.
Yeah, apart from the Mission 9 skips, Scruff's been playing very, very well on this run.
Yeah, other than Mission 9, the only unfortunate thing that happened was essentially Garion, but
yeah.
That is RNG. That was just Garion not behaving. It happens. Garion is basically the frog. Like DMC4 frog for DMC5.
It's very, very true. So the combo bought earlier against Dreadnought, whatever the heck it's called, back in Mission 6, the Red Queen combo D, that's going to come into massive effect in the boss coming up here. But Scruff has also changed to a different set of busters, with the buster arm being up front. You can skip a couple of bits here, as you can see there. You can do kind of like a super jump by going off the edge of the platform with your attacks at the right time. Just being able to skip out on a bunch of like really nasty spike bits and then just jumping straight into this fight.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if Cosmic's going to go for the mini skips. Scruff is too fast at killing these enemies there. The last one always takes a while to spawn after you killed the first one. So if you're good at the game and hit all of your exceeds, which it turns out I'm not anymore. I was so rusty when I played this again. It was very bad. Maybe also because turbo, because I'm not used to it anymore.
Yeah.
To play without. Anyway. Here he's just running through Mundus's defenses, and I say Mundus. Yes, Brain, it's late. We've seen too much Mundus today. Of course, I mean Urizen's defenses. They just stand there, so you can just walk past them, essentially. I don't think they would make it into any professional sports teams.
The worst quarterbacks you've ever seen. But Cosmic having a little bit of a troll lead, Mission 13. Some of the enemies just pushing them away, unfortunately. Going into the V mission. He's actually caught up really well, despite having some really nasty boss RNG in this run. And we've got Scruff using the Buster Arm Suplex maneuver to be able to just slam the enemies right into the ground.
Yeah, spoiler alert, Nero does get his normal Buster Arm back at the very end of the mission, but the Breaker Buster Arm actually does more damage than his normal Buster, which they probably did so you still had a use for the Buster Arm even after having finished the game.
Yeah. Up to this fight right here. This one can be a little frustrating. You've got a couple of the enemies these ones right here that Scruff is working on immediately, using that Buster Arm to try and make sure that they don't. Nice, good kill. Make sure they don't actually leave. I'm doing some more Buster Arming. Strong is very good damage.
Yeah, the Buster broke there. Ideally, you want to keep it until like the end of the fight because most of the enemies there you can just do certain combos on and then just use the Buster to finish them off, which is fast. But it's not the end of the world. Oh, he actually gets a 4th overture here. So it's random which breaker you get here. When there's a 4th overture, it's nice. You would pick it up because, well, it makes it a little faster to fry a certain chicken. Anyone hungry? I smell some KFC.
I've always hated this boss. This boss is the worst.
Oh, Scruff is going for the safe strat here. So he's gonna take a hit to trigger the cutscene because we're gonna stick all over our overtures into the chicken. The thing is, if we get hit after and we trigger the cutscene, it would make all of them disappear. So the safe strat for this boss is to get hit once in the start. Ooh, that's a lot of damage.
Good damage.
She doesn't stun.
That's
interesting. Usually she'd stun here. She's.
So I guess like it's not gonna get like actually like used that much. You'll get to see the special ability of Ragtime here. A long time ago, the strat was to get like Ragtimes and like start this mission with Ragtime so that we could just slow down time after we stun the chicken and do combo D, which is what you just saw Scruff use there. But
yeah, usually
it just explode. But
usually after the explosion, Malphus should just stun and you just finish her off by attacking her with combo D. I'm not sure why she didn't there, and instead moved into this. Yeah.
Too random. So
I kind of like it because you can make the KFC references.
Using the vast majority of orbs to do Gunslinger upgrades up to level 4 and Faust 2-2. This is because it is time to make Faust overpowered. The very, very old method for this mission used to actually be to power up Dante's Sin Devil Trigger, get a couple of things like the Luce and just use your lasers. But as you will see here, Dante with a cowboy hat is one of the strongest forces in the world because you can summon giant meteors.
And here Ninja Theory thought they could insult Dante by saying he looks like a gay cowboy in DMC4. Maybe that's the reason why they made it a cowboy hat.
I wonder about that, actually. That'd be amazing levels of spite that I would respect.
No, I don't think there really is any spite between the devs, because they also took a lot of things from Reboot and put them into this game, like the Void, for example.
Yeah. I need to know said previously that he's actually like a fan of what certain parts of the Reboot did.
There certainly have been improvements to DMC that started with 5, and they took it from Reboot. They probably just never thought about doing it themselves because they had always done it a different way, and when you get a different studio, obviously they'll have their own way of doing things.
Nice cavaliering. Hitting that Fury as it spawns in.
So Cavalier has a gear mechanic that we haven't really talked about yet. It comes in very handy for the later boss Nightmare that we've also seen today already, though he looks very, very different in DMC1. But yeah, essentially, if you kind of alternate, if you're in Swordmaster mode and you basically alternate between the normal attacks and like Swordmaster attacks, you can kind of rev up the weapon and it does more damage. There's like 3 gears, like the basic one, and then like 2 higher ones. I'm not really an expert on how to get into the higher ones. I more or less just mash switching between them, and it somehow works out.
Yeah, Cosmic has said in chat refusing to do the V-skips. But now on to the same mission.
Oh yeah, I didn't pay attention to that. God damn it, Cosmic.
Yeah, afraid so.
Yet another disappointment. What is it with you not doing the skips we want to see?
And Scruff
he was also
our next boss.
Cosmic was also too fast for the last chaos.
Yep. But Scruff's boss should also look very familiar.
Though he claims to not be the Cerberus. It's King Cerberus.
Yes.
I love that the heads just shit talk like other bosses from previous DMCs. Like they're like, Burial is nothing compared to my flame and stuff like that. And I think it's great.
So start off by going straight into Sin, DT, just stunning the boss, hitting the heads a couple of times. So as you can probably guess if you've played this game before, there are 2 phases to the boss. You've got the fire phase and the ice phase. Nice real impact there.
He also didn't really get the stun here that you usually get, unless I missed it because I was looking at Cosmic.
Yeah, the first one did not stun. The second one stunned, but not the first, which is a shame. Actually, I'm not sure if the second one stunned, but the first one did not stun. But should be finishing out that fight. Going into... This should be our final Eurozone fight, right? Technically?
Technically? Well, that depends. Who gets philosophical about this? I mean, since Urizen is also part of Virgil.
Technically not.
We have two more. We have 2 more Urizen fights after this one.
This is such a cool fight if done well. Again, gonna use the Devil Trigger to get a nice little bit of like 1-hit hyper armor, as well as obviously try and hit Urizen. Teleports away to get back close, and then just keep royal impacting and using obviously sword to get back down. If done correctly, this is like very satisfying. Like, very, very satisfying. Good cavalry usage. Oh.
And the money gun's coming out.
Good fight.
Yeah, that was a good fight. That's essentially how it's supposed to go. Sometimes if you're kind of lucky, I guess, or very, very fast, you can kill him before he teleports away at the very end. But yeah, usually he does. So that was basically the default fight. And now we have... Oh, I actually forgot about this mission. I already mentioned Nightmare earlier and kind of forgot this mission exists.
Cosmic taking the hit. Only 3 overtures, unfortunately.
Let's see if Malphus stuns for him.
Getting some of those exceeds in as well. Yes.
Yeah, this is how the fight is usually supposed to look like. Usually she stuns after the explosion of the overtures. I wonder what went wrong for Scruffington there. That was very odd. I've never seen that before. And usually it only happens in DMC4 that I haven't seen things before. That because neural network.
So, Scruff side, you can see that we are fighting the old familiars of V. Basically, at this point, Urizen is become brother. Also grabbing some DT on the way through. Again, powering up that DT there to make sure not to get hit in case the Shadow decides to not play nice. You don't have to full kill for this one, you just have to get their HP down to a certain value and then you can just go through.
Yeah, usually you see when like the barriers turn white, you can stop shooting at them and stop wasting money. And we're coming up to Nightmare here. So for Nightmare it's... Oh, he got hit there, which is unfortunate. But for Nightmare, the gear mechanic is coming in, or it's probably the most important part of the fight to like get the extra damage in so we can one-cycle him. If Nightmare manages to escape, as in if you're not fast enough with putting out damage on him, it will lose you quite a bit of time.
Good fight.
Yeah, that was a good fight. That was the one cycle we want to see.
And now we come to the RNG. Oh boy.
The RNG. Why is it always the blue guys that are RNG? I mean, the frog in DMC4.
So, for those who don't know, Faust is going to come into play. We just have to hope that Brother Dearest plays nice and doesn't move. Unfortunately, Brother Dearest... Oh? Oh?
No, this is good. Now, if he... Yeah, this is a good pattern.
Very good.
This shouldn't matter.
Yep. So, really good usage of the Devil Trigger to get hyper armor there. When old brother tried to come in and hit. So that's a perfect Virgil. That's what you want.
Yeah,
Does that happen all the time? No.
No.
No, it doesn't.
Never reset loses you 20 seconds, but it's usually still faster to reset if he gives you a bad pattern. And yeah, Scruff is here on the final boss fight of the event for Team Yamato.
Been a very specific combo here against Brother Dearest, or Daddy Dearest at this point, I should say, sorry.
Yeah.
Double triggering at the right time. Good old you-know-what. This is a good fight.
That's time for Scruff.
Good fight. Very good fight. Good run by Scruff as well. Very good. GG.
I still refuse to accept. Virgil can't win. Yamato can't win.
Oh, getting a look at... Yeah, Scruff was ahead, look. Scruff was handily ahead at one point until Mission 9.
Right, wow. until the Mission 9 skips.
Yeah, Scruff really was on very, very good pace.
That was a very, very solid run from Scruff. Apart from the M9 skip, of course. But like I said, M9 skip is one of the places where probably the most resets happen for the top level players.
I wish it came out properly. It would have been so good to see like what this pace would have been endgame.
We can do the maths. Cosmic's coming into the Cerberus fight. Let's see if he stuns for him. Oh, he didn't charge up his Sin Devil trigger fully before releasing it.
Then we'll seal the portal with the Yamato. Hang on. If you do that, you can't come back. Why do you think I'm going? Somebody's got to keep an eye on your old man.
Oh, that's...
it's unfortunate.
Let's see how he... Oh, he's not trying to real impact here right away. Interesting.
He was trying to roll guard the hit just to be able to keep close, but unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, he's instead using Cavalier to deal all that damage that the motorbike can output.
Momentarily swapping to Trickster to get back into the fight quickly.
Take care, Nero. Adios.
And that should be it for Cerberus. In a second.
Hopefully.
Cerberus has a lot of health. You can especially tell if you've ever played this game on DMD. I mean, everything on DMD is tanky, but Cerberus feels especially healthy.
It's a real shame you don't get like Cerberus's weapon until endgame, because it's just we have so many other things that are just so much better than it at this point. Now let's hope the Cosmic's Urizen goes nice and smooth. Hopefully no teleporting shenanigans. So
I mean, DMC usually does make it quite explicit that it wants to be replayed, essentially. DMC5 is just like the pinnacle of that, by giving you Nero's Devil Trigger at the very end, giving you weapons at the very end. It's like, you want to play more with this, right? Go do it again on higher difficulty.
Unfortunate backstep. Opting not to use Faust, instead just finishing with a nice quick little Swordmaster. Not too bad.
It just grew. I mean, are you kidding me? Lots of weird stuff happened. There were demons and scary plant roots and arms growing back.
So Cosmic's also heading into the mission that I forgot about before.
The Kalina ran 2, but what happened to the Kalina ran 1? I actually remember the days where we literally got Gunslinger up to level 3, specifically for this mission, got the Kalina ran 1 in the mission... Is it 10 Urizen fight? I can't remember. But we got the Kalina ran 1 in the Urizen fight, and then we also got the second Kalina ran there and used the double Kalina ran, like, lasers against, like, all the V's minions here, which was, a bit painful at times.
Oh yeah, the first Kalina you can get at the Urizen fight, right? And
yes,
that should be mission 10 then.
Yeah, because you can get it in 2 places. You can get it in the Urizen fight and then the mission 11, like the actual platforming bits.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you have to take down all of the blood clots to get it there, though.
Can't remember either.
Because it's... I believe it's in some side room in the house somewhere. It's been a while.
Yeah. Decent shadow fight.
I wouldn't be here without him. That's a biological fact.
Right.
All I'm saying is, tough guy. It's okay to cry if you want.
It's okay to cry if you want.
Devils cry.
I'm not gonna cry.
It's what I'm gonna tell myself later when I think about how basically Team Virgil won.
You say cry again. Devil may cry. Fuck.
All right, Cosmic's also coming on up to the Nightmare fight. Let's see if he can also get the one cycle here. I know that he had like a very specific way of doing the very start of this. By like trickstering towards Nightmare, like you had to like change lock on twice or something and then just trickster. I usually just run up to Nightmare and see what he does.
You know, and her big mouth.
Getting that devil trigger
So-
to be able to restun him.
Yeah, that's some good damage coming out of him. And that's that's also the one cycle from
Yeah.
Cosmic. Very nice.
Very good.
Sorry, I gotta call you later. It's time to get back to work.
Now let's hope that Virgil RNG is good for Cosmic as well.
It's only fair, right?
Exactly.
As we can also see, like judging by like the time from the runs right now, those two are so close.
Yeah. Cosmic absolutely was catching up ground. Oh, oh looking good.
Yeah,
Hey,
this is looking great.
Feels good.
very
He
nice.
got the same RNG that Scruff
Yeah,
got.
very, very nice. Virgil behaving for both runners. Wasn't expecting that today.
Me neither.
So, devils cry, huh? Let's hear what that sounds like.
So Cosmic's also heading into this last fight. For which there's just a set way you want to do it. Sometimes, especially here on like after the first couple hits when Virgil teleports away, sometimes he starts like doing attacks that are a bit unfortunate.
Yeah.
But usually if you're fast and you just use
Ooh.
what's it called? The taunt to go after him, you're fine. And
And
that's
GG.
time for Cosmic as well. GG to all the runners.
1:10:02. So yeah, Cosmic definitely made up ground in that run. That was really good. That was a very good race.
And we have the nice ending movie as well. Music, not movie. It is getting too late. Yeah, GG everyone to all the runners.
Okay, I'm back.
Welcome
Hello.
back.
Hello back.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm back.
Unfortunate boss RNG.
Yeah, it happens.